It wasn't just about the party. It wasn't even about his brother. It was the fact that I didn't recognize him anymore, or myself. I sat there in the driver's seat, staring at the warm lights glowing from inside his parents' house. Laughter poured out every time someone opened the front door. Clinking glasses. Drunk cheers. Someone singing off-key. I could still hear them celebrating in there. Celebrating what, though? A divorce? A broken promise? A man leaving his wife and child to go chase freedom like it was something he'd been robbed of. I didn't know anymore. And maybe that's what scared me the most. I used to feel so sure, so certain, about who I was and who Tyler was. I used to believe we were building something real. But tonight shattered that illusion like glass on concrete. Because the man I loved stood at the center of all of it, laughing, cheering, clinking his drink in celebration of another man walking away from his family like it was a prison sentence. My boyfriend, Tyler, was never that guy before. At least, I thought he wasn't. But when he looked at me tonight, when I called him out in front of everyone, he didn't defend me. He didn't protect me. He didn't even pull me aside to ask if I was okay. He looked embarrassed. Embarrassed to be associated with me. And then he said it. He leaned in, jaw tight, and muttered just loud enough for me to hear, "This isn't about you. Worry about yourself." That's when I snapped. I said things I can't take back. I made a scene. And now, his whole family thinks I'm unhinged. Maybe I am. Or maybe I've just been gaslit for so long that the truth finally cracked open. I don't know what hurts more, that I lost control, or that I had every right to. If you asked me a year ago, I would have told you Tyler was my forever. I pictured a ring. A home. Maybe even kids. But now I'm sitting in a car, watching him toast to another man's divorce like love is just a joke they tell at bachelor parties. So yeah. I screamed in front of his whole family tonight. And now everyone thinks I'm crazy, but if you knew what I know, if you saw what I saw, you might not blame me. You might even wonder why I stayed as long as I did. It wasn't always like this. Tyler used to be the man who brought me tea when I was cramping too hard to move. The guy who remembered my coffee order better than I did. The one who made space for me in every room, even when it was full of his friends, his family, his world. He made me feel like I belonged there. I met his mom within the first 3 months. She hugged me like she already knew I'd be staying. She was sweet, warm, endlessly nosy. Jake, his older brother, was the charming, slightly arrogant one. A little too smooth for my taste, but funny and always polite. His wife, Monica, was someone I clicked with instantly. We even started texting on our own. She once told me, "If you and Tyler make it, maybe our kids will be cousins one day." Back then, Tyler defended me. Every time. If I ever felt awkward at family dinners or misunderstood by his friends, he stepped in. Made it right. Told me I was too good for half the people we hang out with. But somewhere along the line, that version of him disappeared. It started small. Less time. More, "I've just got a lot going on at work." His texts turned into dry one-word replies. He became obsessed with his gym routine, his beard, his shoes, his watch. Constant mirror checks. Group chats filled with memes that made me cringe. Then came the private laughter, the kind where he'd read something on his phone, smirk, and lock the screen before I could ask. And when I did ask, "You take things too seriously. God, you're so emotional lately. Relax, babe. Not everything's a big deal." And the biggest change of all. Jake's divorce. When Monica told me she and Jake were splitting, I cried for her. I offered to help her move. But Tyler. He clapped Jake on the back and said, "Finally, bro. Welcome back to the good life." That hurt. But what destroyed me was the way Tyler started planning the divorce party like it was some bachelor send-off. He and Jake were laughing about freedom shots and renting a fake casket for the death of marriage. I asked him once, "Aren't you embarrassed for Jake? Or Monica?" He rolled his eyes and said, "Why are you taking this so personally? It's his party." But Monica had warned me. Months before, quietly over drinks, she looked at me and said, "Just watch how they talk when we're not around." Back then, I didn't know what she meant. Now, I wish I'd paid closer attention. I didn't want to go. I told Tyler a dozen times I felt weird about it. That it felt cruel. That Jake mocking his marriage like a frat boy joke wasn't just tasteless, it was sad. But Tyler just kept saying, "It'll be chill. Just drinks and laughs. Don't make it bigger than it is." So I went. I wore the black dress he used to love, the one he once said made me look like trouble in the best way. I stood next to him while he fist bumped Jake and handed him a stupid sash that said, "Divorced AF." The room smelled like cologne, sweat, and spilled beer. Strippers in bridal lingerie danced to early 2000s club music while a projector looped old wedding photos of Jake and Monica, with clown emojis superimposed over her face. I felt like I was watching a train crash, and no one else noticed the wreckage. The centerpiece was a mock wedding coffin filled with empty beer cans and "RIP monogamy" signs. Every other joke was about freedom and escaping the leash. I tried to leave twice, but Tyler kept tugging me back, grinning like it was all just fun. At one point, he handed Jake a mic for a speech. Jake, already 3 drinks too deep, raised his glass and said, "To Tyler, my boy, who reminded me what freedom really is." I was drowning, and this guy threw me a beer and pulled me out. The room roared. Tyler threw his arm around Jake, laughing so hard he almost dropped his drink. And then I heard it. Tyler, to some guy behind me, didn't even try to whisper, "I mean, marriage is a trap, right? If we ever do it, I'm keeping a backup plan." I don't remember walking to him. Just the sound of my heels. Just the rush of heat behind my eyes. "You think this is funny?" I said. Loud enough that the music felt like background static. Everyone turned. I pointed to the strippers, the coffin, the clown emojis. "This isn't a party. It's a funeral for your character. Every single one of you should be ashamed." A few nervous laughs. Jake looked pissed. Tyler's face turned red. He grabbed my arm, pulled me to the kitchen, and hissed, "This isn't about you. Worry about yourself." I swear the whole room tilted. He didn't defend me. Didn't see me. All I could think was, when did I become the outsider in my own relationship? We didn't speak on the drive home. Tyler kept one hand on the wheel and the other scrolling through his phone at every red light. Probably checking texts from Jake. Or maybe the guys. Maybe even Monica's name popped up, warning him how low he'd sunk. But he didn't flinch. No guilt. Just silence. When we got inside, I headed straight to the bathroom and peeled off the dress I used to love. I stared at myself in the mirror. My makeup was still smudged. My eyes were tired. My chest felt hollow. He sat on the couch, scrolling again, like nothing had happened. After what felt like hours of silence, I stood in the hallway and asked the question I'd been too afraid to say out loud for months: "Do you even love me anymore?" He didn't look up. Didn't even pretend to think. He just muttered, "You're exhausting sometimes." That was it. Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "Let's talk." Just that. I stood there, stunned. As if someone had reached into my chest and flicked a switch off. And suddenly, all the tiny moments I'd buried, all the red flags I'd dressed up as misunderstandings, came flooding back. The way he used to interrupt me and laugh like I was being dramatic. The way he'd only show affection when other people were around. The time I cried after a fight, and he rolled his eyes and said, "You're not gonna start this again, are you?" God, I thought he just didn't know how to show love. But now I realize, I was the one bending. Shrinking. Making excuses for someone who never tried to understand me. I laughed off things that hurt. Apologized when I was the one bleeding. Stayed quiet so he'd stay comfortable, even when I felt like I was suffocating. I thought I was fighting for us. But I was the only one in the ring. He'd already walked out. And maybe, just maybe, he was never really in it to begin with. Monica opened the door barefoot, wearing a sweatshirt 2 sizes too big and holding a mug of tea. She looked calm. Not the kind of forced, brittle calm I'd seen at family dinners, but real. Warm. Steady. "You look better," I said before I could stop myself. She smiled. "I am better." We sat on her balcony. She poured me a cup without asking. It was chamomile, and it made my throat tighten. I hadn't told her everything yet, but she already knew. That's the thing about women who've walked through the same kind of fire, you don't have to say much. They recognize the burn. She took a sip of her tea, then said it softly, "They want women who mother them. Not women who challenge them." I didn't respond right away. I was still trying to find words for the ache in my chest. But then she reached for her phone, scrolled a bit, and handed it to me. Screenshots. Messages between Jake and Tyler. Dated months ago. "Bro, you're lucky you got out. I'm still stuck with mine for now. Let her think she's the one. That's how you get her to stay." I stared at the screen. Read them again. And again. My fingers went numb. My face flushed with humiliation, rage, grief, some twisted cocktail of all three. Monica leaned back. "I saw those before the divorce was finalized. I wanted to send them to you back then, but you weren't ready to see it." She was right. I wasn't. Back then, I still thought love meant patience. That if I just held on long enough, Tyler would come back to me. That the man I met at the beginning, the one who made me laugh until I snorted, the one who danced with me in the kitchen, was still in there somewhere. But he wasn't. That version of Tyler was just a hook. A performance. The real Tyler was the man in those texts, smug, manipulative, two-faced. Monica reached for my hand. "Don't scream this time," she said. "Just leave." Quiet always hits harder. That's when it clicked. This wasn't a moment for one last fight. No dramatic speeches. No tears begging for closure. This was my moment of revenge. Quiet. Composed. Complete. Because nothing destroys a man like a woman who finally chooses herself. And I was done choosing him. The apartment smelled like dust and lemon cleaner. The kind of sterile clean that doesn't feel like home, just absence. I stood in the doorway, keys in my hand, backpack slung over one shoulder. Everything I owned now fit into a few boxes stacked in my sister's garage. I had spent the night before folding shirts I no longer cared about and deleting pictures I used to love. No screaming. No drama. Just silence. The kind of silence that used to feel like punishment. But now, it felt like permission. I walked over to the kitchen counter. The same one where we used to eat dinner on weeknights, or laugh over cereal on lazy Sunday mornings. The same counter where I once thought he might propose, where I imagined us growing old together. I set the keys down gently. Then placed the folded letter on top. It didn't need to be long. It just said, You told me to worry about myself. I am. That's why I'm gone. I didn't wait for him to come back. I didn't leave a forwarding address. I didn't give him a chance to explain, because there was nothing left I needed to hear. I moved back in with my sister. Started therapy. The first session, I couldn't even say his name without crying. The third, I laughed at something he once said that used to make me small. Progress is slow. Healing is quieter than pain. But I'm learning. I'm learning that love isn't about surviving someone. It's about growing with them. Being safe with them. Being seen. And Tyler was never capable of that. He was always chasing Jake's shadow. Always admiring the loudest man in the room. And the truth is, he was more loyal to the worst version of his brother than he ever was to the best version of me. That's what broke us. Not the party. Not even the betrayal. But the moment I realized he saw me as less for caring, for feeling, for loving too deeply. I used to think leaving meant I'd failed. Now I know staying would have been the real failure. Have you ever stayed with someone because you were afraid no one else would love you either? I did. And I won't do it again.